Gabi and I'm the Chief of Staff at BibliU. BibliU is a learning enablement platform that empowers higher education institutions to streamline their workflows to achieve greater student outcomes, affordability and social mobility. I'm not going to give you my handle, but I was once a Depop top seller and I've sold around 500 items on the platform. Little side hustle. So my interest in the role came from my love of The West Wing and specifically my love for Leo's role. And if you don't know, Leo is the Chief of Staff in the White House. So he's kind of number 2 to the president. The Chief of Staff role was always something I wanted to do because of the steep learning curve, because of being able to be in sort of so many different things, being in the room just seemed amazing. And it's actually started to make its way from the public sector into the private sector and the startup world. So it became a bit more of an achievable goal because I think you need to be American to do it in the White House. So that's really like why. But the how is slightly more by chance. So I'd initially wanted to start my career in management consulting. And when I was at university, I applied to monitor Deloitte to kind of get that amazing learning experience. But around the same time, I was asked to join a really early stage startup and help them get off the ground. So deferred my job at Deloitte and worked for this amazing company called Stint. And after a really, really exciting period of growth, we grew from 5 people to 60 people. We brought thousands of students onto the platform. I decided I did actually want to join Deloitte. So I joined Monitor Deloitte, where I specialized in corporate and digital strategy, specifically for the private sector. Absolutely loved it there, learned so much. And after 2.5 years, just by chance, I got approached by BibliU. And they were basically looking for someone who had startup experience, which I had done, but also had that management consulting experience because it's really a great way to learn kind of lots of different skills at once. And they were really looking for that kind of person, the blend, to help bring them from the startup to a scalable business. As I'd said, I'd always wanted to do the role, couldn't believe that I was kind of being asked to do the role. And then I loved the mission of the company, loved that they were bringing disruptive technology to quite a slow to tech industry, which is the education industry. So I decided to go for it. And here we are 1.5 years later. I'm sure you've heard this before, but the best thing about Chief of Staff role, no 2 days are ever the same. There is no similar day to day, but there's 3 things that I do every single day, which is meetings. So that's meetings with the CEO, ensuring that we're aligned on priorities, making sure we're both doing, what we need to do that day. And then also one-to-ones throughout the week with other members of the exec or senior leadership team. The role is so much about knowing what's going on and being on top of everything that's going on in the organization that you kind of have to have those meetings and regular cadences. The next one would be just head down work. And this is a real range. This can be analysis. This could be working on decks. Working on decks is my absolute happy place because of my consulting training, but also creating comms. And that could be comms that I'm writing for the business. It could be comms that I'm writing for the CEO. Then also preparing, facilitating meetings. And then finally, and this is literally a job in itself, Slack and emails and going through Slack and emails. Because of the role, you're involved in lots of different things and you need to know a lot about what's going on. So a lot of the job is replying to emails, external and internal. And also I'm on every single Slack group. So replying, even just making sure the notification isn't there by the end of the day. So that's roughly what a day looks like, the different activities within kind of those bigger buckets. So the main skills I think you need for a Chief of Staff, definitely number one, strong people skills. I'm a massive people person. I love working with people, but I think it's really important for the role as well. And that's because the whole role is about building relationships, building trust, and trying to bring out the best in people that you work with, whether that's the CEO or the person that you kind of report into, or also the other exec members. That's really, for me, number one. Another really important one, you've got to be highly organized. There's so many different things going on. You've got to stay on top of all of them. You've got to balance competing priorities. And really, you've got to get stuff done. And you just can't do those things without being organized. Next one is communication. You need to be an excellent communicator. And this is both written and verbal communication. So you're going to do a lot of drafting of comms, writing board decks, as I've mentioned before. And also you're going to be kind of getting on calls with sometimes really senior stakeholders. So it's about being able to communicate in different ways and to different stakeholders. But also in that bucket of communication, I would add listening. It's really, really important that you're able to lend an ear to, senior members of staff and listen and ask the right questions as well. So it's not always you speaking, but communication is really, really important. And finally, you've just got to be excited about constant learning and challenge. It's the best part of the role. And if that doesn't excite you, it's not the best role for you. Initially, my advice would be do the research about the chief of staff role. So do things like watching these amazing videos, like reading up on all the different materials that are out there. There's so many groups on LinkedIn. There's so many amazing people posting about what it's like to be a chief of staff. So just have a read of the role and make sure it's something you definitely want to do. It really isn't for everyone. I love it, but I don't think everyone would love it. Some of my friends think I'm a bit mad when I tell them what I do. So definitely check it's what you actually want to do. And then once you've done that and you're in the stage of applying to companies, really understand what your specific company that you're applying to wants from a chief of staff. Chief of staff looks really different in every company, and the areas that you focus on can also be slightly different. So some chief of staffs can be a lot more finance leaning, some can be a lot more culture leaning, some are a real blend of the two. What makes that great is you can come from a range of previous experience. So you can come from consulting, which is where I came from. You can come from strategy and operations roles. You can come from generalist roles, finance roles, early stage startup, like any role in an early stage startup. So, really be clear on what the company you're applying for wants. And then definitely talk to other chief of staff. So I did that when I was preparing for the role, and it was really, really helpful. You get some top tips from them on what they did really well, but you also hear some of the things that didn't work out so well. And those are both really useful to know when you're going in and sort of setting the boundaries for what you want your role to be. And then speak to founders and CEOs who have had chief of staffs, because they can give you a really good perspective on what they're looking for and what was really helpful for them. And also think about what you want to do after chief of staff. You'll wear so many different hats as the chief of staff. So having the next step in mind can really mean that you take advantage of the opportunities that come your way during the role. And finally, just go for it. It's the most amazing learning experience. It's a real privilege to be in the role. It's such an amazing, amazing role. So just do it. Just go for it.